Let's be honest, most people got their skills from Indian YouTubers. From coding to changing your computer's wallpaper, we are your go to source. So if you're here to level up your career, you're at the right place. Hi, I'm Manpreet, a career expert at Kick Resume, which has helped millions of people get hired. Follow these steps and you will ace your job interviews in no time, I promise. Let's dive into the 5 things all hiring managers hate in job interviews. Mistake number 1, not reading the job description and researching the company properly. This is a major red flag for hiring managers. It makes you look unprepared, like you don't really care about the job enough to learn the bare minimum about the role and the company. Instead, you want to do this. Visit the company's website, blogs, and socials to learn about their mission, products, newest launches, and services. Once you have researched the company, prepare a few thoughtful, specific questions to ask the interviewer. Connect your past work experiences to the job description with specific examples. Also, visit the company's website and social media. Look for anything related to your role and bring it up during the interview. Mistake number 2, talking negatively about your current company, boss, or team. This is yet another big red flag. Trust me, you don't want to be the type to gossip, as it can make you look immature and unprofessional. It also gives the impression that you might be difficult to work with or that you could bring a negative attitude to the team. Instead, what you want to do is, if asked why you are leaving, frame it in terms of your career goals and aspirations, not as a critique of your current situation. Focus on the positives of your current or past roles, even if there were challenges, and highlight what you have learned and how you have grown from those experiences. Mistake number 3, not asking any questions at the job interview. If you have ever spent an evening with someone who never asked you a single question, you probably already know what impression it gives. It makes them look uninterested and uninteresting. You don't want to be that person. On the other hand, asking smart and relevant questions shows your enthusiasm and curiosity about the role and the company, which is something the hiring managers love to see. While this always depends on the context, there are some foolproof questions you can ask at any interview. For example, what would my typical week look like in this position? What is the most immediate project that needs to be addressed? Can you tell me about the team I would be working with and what they do? These questions create a powerful image in the mind of the recruiter. You already working at the company. And once they already start thinking about you in this way, you're just a small step away from actually landing the job. By the way, if you feel like this video is helping you, consider smashing that like and subscribe button. It will help us help you more often. Mistake number 4, showing up late for the job interview. There are many things the recruiters look at during an interview, and it's not just the interview itself. 2 of those things are punctuality and reliability. These things tell them a lot about what it's like to work with you before you even get a chance to open your mouth. This is one of those rare times in life when you absolutely must be on time. First impressions matter, and if you can't manage that, what does it say about your ability to be punctual in the future, right? Mistake number 5, not being prepared for common interview questions. There are a few questions that come up in almost every interview. These are general questions that help them give a bit of an overview of who you are as a candidate. Do not underestimate them. The first question you'll likely be asked is, tell me about yourself. Your answer is important because it sets the tone for the rest of the interview and provides context for every question that comes after it. How should you answer it then? A good rule of thumb is to introduce yourself by describing your current role and qualifications. Mention your years of experience, highlight your most relevant skills, and if you have got time, mention a few achievements you're proud of. Another question that will probably come up in the later part of the interview is, why are you interested in this position? The way to answer this question is twofold. First, you must do a bit of research before the interview. You shouldn't just understand what the role entails. You should also know what the company is working on, what are their current projects, and what is their mission. Once you know all of that, you can show enthusiasm for it. Be specific about how this position aligns with your interests and long-term career goals. The more specific you are, the more they are going to love it. And finally, the last question I'm going to talk about is the good old what are your strengths and weaknesses? This isn't a difficult question to answer honestly. However, it's difficult to answer without making the situation somewhat awkward. When it comes to your strengths, my advice is to go over the job description again and find any strengths they are looking for in a candidate. Once you know what they want, you can give them what they want. Also, do not just list your strengths. Be prepared to provide specific examples and real life situations in which you had to show those qualities and succeeded. The weaknesses may seem more difficult to talk about, but they are not, at least not really. The key is to talk about your weaknesses as challenges or learning opportunities. These are the things that are a bit more difficult for you than others, but you're already aware of them, and even more importantly, you are working on overcoming them. So what you do is state your weakness, ideally one that isn't a deal breaker. For instance, discomfort with giving criticism or difficulties delegating tasks to others. Something like that. Then talk about a real life situation when you notice this weakness. Maybe you received feedback from your supervisor or a project you worked on that didn't go as planned. And finally, describe how you overcame the weakness in the past. By avoiding these 5 things, you'll be well on your way to acing your next job interview. If you want more useful resources on this topic, check the description below this video. We have put together a nice selection there. Good luck and remember to stay confident and be yourself. Thanks for watching this video and see you in the next video.